Good afternoon. Thank you for everyone who's joining us. This is our fifth or sixth that we're already doing this morning here on Election Day with Studio C70. My name is Justin Villery. We're very excited today to be joined by Antonia Offen from Ceibam. They are a good partner of ours for many, many years. We've done a lot of work with Ceibam. And so today we're going to talk about what Antonia and her team have going on throughout the city on primary day today. So Antonia, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you coming around.
Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Good. So just the first question, we'll keep this pretty informal. Just tell the viewers a little about what Ceibam is and the work that you all are doing today.
Yeah, so Ceibam is an NGO located in Northern Liberties area of Philadelphia, right next to North Square. We primarily are a VITA tax site, so a free volunteer tax location, but we also do a lot of different services, particularly partnering with our other Latinx organizations such as Congreso, Concilio, ACE-APM, and many others to really be sure that our community has all of the services available to them that they could need to have the best quality of life here in Philadelphia.
Great. So we're both partners in the Lenfest Institute's Every Voice, Every Vote project as we try to do exactly that, make sure that every person in Philadelphia, if they want to, can participate in the election today and then in November. So what work have you all been doing as Ceibam and your coalition partners have you all been doing in the run-up to the primary today? How are you trying to get people out to vote?
So one of the main things that we've been working on at Ceibam and as a collective is around language access, making sure that any information about the election is available both in English and Spanish, as well as other languages. We have really been at the forefront of pushing mobile drop boxes for our community. Previously, there weren't any drop boxes for mail-in ballots in this area, and there have been a couple now due to a lot of our collective effort. And so I'm really happy that that has been able to take place here, and making sure, of course, as I said, that information is available in multiple languages, that voter guides are available in Spanish, just to make sure that everyone is able to get the information that they need before the election, and of course today on election day as well.
Nice. So, and there's a lot of talk about how municipal elections and local elections, they often, impact people's lives more so, or as much as at least some of the higher profile, like the presidential and the midterm. And so how are you trying to indicate the importance to your voters? Like how is this election going to impact the Latinx community in Philadelphia, and how are they being motivated to turn out to vote today?
So primarily, of course, the mayoral election is drawing a lot of attention here in Philadelphia, the primary election, and particularly for our constituents, we really want them to know that how the mayoral office impacts the city and their communities and their neighborhoods, their school systems, on various other aspects of living here. And so we really have been trying to expand that information access, make sure that both in English and in Spanish, everybody is able to understand and appreciate what the mayor does for the city, as well as all of the other candidates and positions that are available, and just really getting that out there so that people can vote for the representative that they feel best suits their needs in our city.
Wonderful, wonderful. I know we've been working together over the last 2 months, and something that I'm pretty excited about. The Ceibam and the Committee of 70 have joined forces. Essentially, we have some new youth civics programming that we've launched, in which we have been, and we're hoping to scale this across the state. So on our website, 70.org, if you go into the youth civics tab, you can see some really neat activities that we are trying to bring to students, and that includes out of school and after school programs that Ceibam and your coalition partners work through. And so this is inviting young people to young as 4 and 5 years old to learn about their place in American democracy. And so just a question for you all: what was the motivation for you participate in this project first off, and then I have another question on that, right on that track. So.
Of course, yeah. So I really believe that youth are, of course, the future, as everybody likes to put forward, and making sure that the youth of our school systems and of our after-school programs that we of the community organizations that we partner with have access to this voter information. Then they can not only disseminate it among their friends and among their school systems, but also with their families. And really share that information and say, hey, mom, dad, are you voting? Are you registered to vote? What's your voting plan? It really works to spread that information across many different communities and families at the same time. And also, I firmly believe that, you can't just approach an 18-year-old and say, okay, you're ready to vote. Here's all the information you need. Start caring. People need to have the support and access to resources from the young age of 4, like you just mentioned. And so I think we were really driven by seeing so many of our youth wanting more information about civic engagement and political processes, but not really knowing how to go about it. And so we're really excited to be partnering with you this last couple of months, as well as hopefully in the future. Committee of 70, we're doing great work. I'm really excited to see how it's able to continue across the state, across the state and into the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head that if you ask somebody to start caring at 18, then there's a whole lot of scaffolding or bedrock foundations that haven't been developed yet. Whereas if you're connecting with young people and you're not talking about deep issues, right? You're more talking about basic citizenship, skills like listening and deliberation and thinking about different problems and how to solve those. And so it seems like from the work that you all have been doing in these programs as part of this youth civics activity, it really helps engage young people in that in the skill building. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
What support can organizations like Committee of 70 give to Latinx youth in Philadelphia or across the state to engage in their political system and help hold elected officials accountable?
Yeah, so over the last several weeks, I've been checking in with our partners and particularly the coordinators that Committee of 70 has been working with with the youth and seeing, what have you been thinking? How can this be expanded and improved upon? And they really, first of all, loved your programming, loved your educators, and particularly said, we need more of this. Our students are really lacking those basic, as you were saying, the ability to listen and deliberate and think about, political positions in that overarching way of how this is going to impact me in the future and my family. And so, being able to consistently give that kind of resource information to our young people and ensure that they have that, for years to come, that their own children and their siblings get that too. And so I think continuing on with what we've been doing is really important. And of course, being sure that this kind of information is available in multiple languages as well. A lot of people speak a variety of languages, and particularly Spanish. Maybe they speak good English, but prefer to deliberate and listen in Spanish. And so I think expanding that kind of language access within civic education is also really important for our Latinx youth and community overall.
You kind of touched on something I was going to ask about, and you've kind of already gone over it, is the mixed language in a family, right? There's a number of families who are bilingual, or maybe the older generation might not speak as much English as the younger generation. Younger generation can kind of be the bridge to that older generation, it sounds like, right?
Absolutely. And this goes, not just with spoken languages, but also technology. Of course, a lot of our older generations are feeling a little left behind or lost, and particularly with new equipment and technology being used, not only, in elections themselves, but also in disseminating information about elections. Helping to bridge that gap for our older generation is also really important. And hoping that we can utilize the youth that we've trained, to get that information out there and expand the access to everyone.
Wonderful. to drill down into today's election, the municipal primary here in Philly and some of the judicial races, have you, among your members and constituents, have you identified or what are you hearing as some of the salient issues that matter to your constituents, to your residents that participate in your program? So there are issues that are rising to the top.
Yeah, so particularly, I think people just want a better quality of life overall in our city, and that just means access to good education, housing, work opportunities, just the ability to live and not have to worry all the time about where your next paycheck is going to come from, if your kid's going to be able to make it to school tomorrow. All of these topics that really permeate every aspect of life in our city, and so I think primarily our population is just really worried about tomorrow and making it to the next step of life and ensuring that their families are doing the best that they possibly can in every regard.
Nice, wonderful. Well, I'll just again put in a quick plug for the work that we've all been doing together, that Ceibam and C70 been doing. We've got a mock election program. We have just an elections 101 basics to teach young kids about, what is politics and why do elections matter? And so it's been exciting to work with your all's young people through this. And is there anything else that we haven't talked about today that you really want to spotlight on primary day or election day that Ceibam is participating in?
I just want to emphasize that this program has been working. I mean, we've had parents come up to us and say, almost jokingly, my kid's been bothering me about the election. I blame you, we like to see that kind of a thing because it shows engagement not only by the young people, but their families and across generations and across communities. So, just really driving home the fact that this kind of education works and that our young people are interested and they do care, and giving them the opportunity to access the resources that they need is truly the most important thing I think that Ceibam can help with during these elections.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Antonia. I really appreciate you not just stopping by today, but all the work that you're doing in the Philadelphia community. And we look forward to continuing working with y'all.
No, likewise. Thank you so much for everything. And I'll see you later on in the year.
Thanks all.